Okay, Jared, on this day in sports, 130 years ago, Dr. James Naismith invented the greatest game of all time, basketball. Tell me what you think about that.
Oh man, how the game has changed, isn't that for sure? From the bigs in the league with no 3-point line to now we're out here watching Steph Curry break 3-point records that we didn't think that would be broken after Ray Allen hit it. Just crazy to see how the game has changed so much.
Yeah, we went from little leather balls and bushel baskets to breakaway rims. All right, everybody. So today we have another special guest. We have my childhood best friend, Karson Schoening, on. He played center at NDSU, starting center. This guy is a total beast. Grew up a beast, is still a beast. Won a couple natties while he was there. So give it up for Karson. Introduce yourself.
Thanks, Jacob. So my name is Karson Schoening from Rolla, currently living in Fargo. Graduated from NDSU in last December. And yeah, like you said, I played football for NDSU for 5 years and then graduated with a degree in agronomy.
This ought to be fun then, because I think everyone knows how my brother and I feel about NDSU. So this has been it's been a good. It'll be a good time here. So we're gonna open up with. So Karson, what do you think about this matchup with Montana State coming up in Frisco?
It's gonna be a pretty good game, I think. I'm actually glad that SDSU didn't make it, mainly because I didn't want to see them in Frisco again. And SDSU always prepares well against us, especially when they have time to prepare. So if they would have came to Fargo in the playoffs, I don't think they would have fared very well, just because they didn't have the time to prepare. But with the 3 weeks that they would have got for Frisco, I think they would have came out pretty well. But the Montana State team, that offense is pretty scary. That true freshman quarterback is probably top 5 quarterback in the nation right now. Like even all the teams that aren't in the playoffs, because that kid is playing really well. And then their wide receivers looked pretty good against SDSU. I think their whole offense was pretty good, but their defense is really good at stopping the run, and NDSU is really good at running the ball. So that's going to be a great matchup. I think their only place that we can exploit them is with their DBs. They didn't look great against SDSU. I know they had one interception that I think was just a bad decision on SDSU's quarterback. But I think if we could run the ball and actually establish the run against these guys like we did in 2019 in the semifinals, I think NDSU will win pretty well, but I don't know how well they're going to be able to do that against this rush defense. So, but if we get Christian Watson back healthy, his All-American wide receiver with his speed, I think we can exploit him through the air, and if we can unpack that box that a lot of teams have been doing against us, I think we'll have a chance to actually run the ball and then spread it out as well. So I think if we can combine those two things, we'll end up winning the game. I still think it'll be probably a one-score game because that Montana State team just looks too good.
You know, I gotta agree that it's gonna be close. I can't decide who I want to win. I think NDSU is better, but you never know. I think putting Montana State at number 8 might have been a little bit of an underestimation of how good that team is. I mean, they got 2 losses on the year to an FBS team in Wyoming, Craig Bowles' new team, right? They came away with a 3-point loss there, and their other loss came against, I think it was Villanova, who was another quarterfinal team, and they had some good wins in there. So I mean, I think they're better than what they've given credit for. They took down the number 1 seed in the playoffs by what, 24 points, 20 points. It was ugly, and they handled SDSU pretty easily last weekend. So I mean, I think they're better than they get credit for. But I mean, NDSU is no slouch clearly. So I think it'll be a good game.
Yeah, no, I have to agree there with you, Jacob. I think it's going to be a good game, and you got the 2 top scoring defenses in FCS football, NDSU being 1 and Montana State being 2. Like I said, I think this is a cool thing to see that you got the number 1 and 2 out there. I like I said, I'm not one to have known. I haven't watched a whole lot of FCS football, but I feel like it's going to be a lower scoring game, and I think it's going to come down to a last possession, or it's going to come down to the last 5 minutes in the fourth quarter. If it's Montana State pulling away, North Dakota State pulling away, I'm not too sure. But like I said, I would like to think. I hate to say this, Jacob. I think NDSU is going to come out on top. I don't want to say that, but like I said, I've watched Montana State play against Sam Houston, and man, they look tough against Sam Houston in the semifinal game on their side of the bracket. And but like I said, I haven't seen much. I know they got a running back for Montana State too, who was third in the FCS in rushing.
Yeah.
I can't even think of his name right now. I can see his number. I can see him in my head right now. But I mean, I don't know. I'm sure, Karson, you've seen a lot more on Montana State and NDSU. Like, I don't know if they've got a pretty good, tough running game. But like I said, I just think with two good defenses, and I think it's gonna be a low scoring. It's gonna come down to the last possession or two and see what happens or whatnot.
Yeah, I completely agree. That running back, he didn't even play in the semifinal game, and I think they still ran for over 200 yards because their quarterback, I think, had like 25 rushes or something like that. And halfway through the third quarter, that quarterback had all but 16 of their total yards on offense, and they had like 370 yards of total offense. So, and then, Jacob, with the Montana State, I agree they are definitely better than an 8 seed, but they just lost at the wrong time. They lost to the Grizz with their last game of the season. Otherwise, they would have been the 2 seed, and NDSU would have been the 3 seed.
Well, we've talked about that too, Jacob, about it just how people, like, if you lose at the very end of the season compared to the beginning of the season, it's just fresh in people's mind that they'll rank you lower because you lost towards the end, and that's fresh in their mind that it just happened a week or two ago. So then they just kind of, not saying disrespect you, but they kind of forget about that loss in week 1 or 2 compared to if it happened the last couple weeks, they remember that.
There is definitely some major recency bias, I think, when it comes to a lot of rankings that happen in sports, which, I mean, you can maybe justify because, I mean, you want to rank teams how good they are now, but, I mean, how good you are now is a conglomeration of every game you've played up to that point. So I'm not really sure if there should be a recency bias or not, but there definitely is one.
Yeah, there is. And then that Montana team, I mean, it's another rivalry game, so like you throw the rankings out the window for the most part if one of the both teams are any decent. So,
you know, we should also mention, you know, the Buxton, North Dakota native coaching Montana State, Brent Vegan, one of Dad's old cohorts from back in the day. So got a lot of North Dakota connections in this game. So I think that's something to be proud of for this state on both sides.
Yeah, and he's an NDSU alumni too.
Mm-hmm. I just kind of like to ask you, Karson, going to this championship game too. I mean, NDSU's clearly had a lot of great quarterbacks the past couple years. What have you seen from the NDSU quarterback? It's Cam Miller, I believe, will be getting the start, won't he, in Frisco?
Yep. Yeah, he's a good quarterback. He's nothing like that we've had in the past, but I mean, he's still out there, can still make plays. Doesn't have the arm talent that Trey Lance had or Carson Wentz had, but he's still able to extend plays, make plays with his feet, and isn't afraid of contact, which is something that NDSU quarterbacks have to have because we like to run the quarterback power quite a bit. And we've also been throwing in our backup Quincy Patterson.
We have a backup Quincy too. That's awesome.
Yeah, we've been throwing a little bit kind of a wildcat quarterback where he dropped a guaranteed touchdown in the semifinal game where we had both our quarterbacks in the backfield, and he took the snap, handed it off to Cam, and then Cam rolled out to the right, and Quincy released out to the left, and he had basically a 40-yard guaranteed touchdown, but he dropped it.
No Nick Foles in the backfield, apparently.
No, just the Tom Brady.
Yeah, I just kind of curious about that because, I mean, I feel like is this year, I mean, every year it seems like you come out, you see an NDSU quarterback. They've just been so dominant. And Trey Lance came back and everyone's talking about him. I just feel like there hasn't been much talk about Cam Miller this year. And I just didn't know if maybe these upcoming years there's a lot of promise for him. I honestly don't know what grade he is in, or if he's a
I think he's
sophomore,
considered,
junior.
sophomore technically.
Okay.
With the COVID, I'm pretty sure. But yeah, he just barely lost the starting job at the beginning of the year to Quincy. But I think just Quincy's size and athleticism basically won him the job. But he came in, and all my friends that are still on the team said he came in playing like it was his job, and he was playing much better football than he was when they lost to Sam Houston last year in the semis. So he's still a pretty good quarterback. He's undersized, that's for sure, but he's probably still, got to be top 15, top 10 in the nation as a quarterback, in my opinion. A little bit biased, but I think if he performs well and doesn't turn the ball over in Frisco, I think they could have a pretty good shot.
Yeah, well, like I said, that's why I brought you, and you might be a little biased towards NDSU, and clearly Jacob and I are a little biased way against NDSU. So,
Yeah, regardless of all the bias, I think we all are in agreement that with our prediction, because just like you, Jared, I said last week with Alex that I think NDSU will win it. I still do. So I hope not. I hope I'm wrong. If I'm wrong, I'll come back next week and I'll say, hey, I'm glad I was.
yeah, no, but well, I think moving forward here, I think we're going to dive kind of still more into the NDSU dynasty and whatnot. And like I said, I just think, Karson, clearly NDSU's been successful year after year after year. They've constantly in Frisco, and it's just been this last decade. They've just been absolutely dominant. You were in that program for 5 years there, 4 or 5 years there. Like, what makes NDSU so successful? Like, what is in the program? Like, what's the culture around it that makes it successful year after year after year?
I think just being a part of it, it's like a brotherhood. Everybody there is basically taking care of each other on and off the field. Even on weekends and stuff, we're making sure nobody's getting in trouble, keeping each other accountable. And then just when it comes to actually playing the games, just the preparation that we put in. We're there Monday through Saturday preparing. Once we're done with class, there's a lot of people that are in the dome, in the training room and the ice baths, and then watching film when they're not doing that. So we're there until 8:00 at night. And we, some of us have workouts like 6:30 in the morning. So just the preparation that we put into it. And then Fridays, I think, are our biggest days. We don't practice, but we have meetings starting at like 2:30 and we don't leave the facility until about 8:30 at night. I know there's a lot of teams in the country that aren't doing that. And they might have a couple, like a team meeting or a position meeting for an hour and a half or so, but they're not in the facilities doing it for 5-6 hours on a Friday afternoon, evening. So I think that's pretty much the way we've been successful. And then our strength and conditioning coach, you can't forget him, Coach Kramer. He is basically the backbone of the program. With us in the weight room, we might not be like the strongest group in the country, but we're definitely one of the most athletic from top to bottom.
That's some good. That's some good insight there. I have a quick question about film. So as an offensive lineman, like, what are you looking for when you're sitting down and watching film from the other team's defensive front?
Just a lot of like tendencies. When it comes to like pass blocking, you like look at, as a center, I'm looking at the D tackles, whether they're like a 3rd and 6. Are they going to be more of a power guy, more of a like a speed rush guy? How many games are they doing on like 3rd and long? So like a lot of like not as good pass rushing teams, they're going to throw in some different games and twists and try to confuse you with that. But when it comes to the run game, just alignments, where they're going to line up to this position, and that's where like the coaches come in. They're going to get our formation set to where we want the defense to be positioned. And if they make an adjustment mid-game, then we'll make it at halftime mid-game as well. But, it's just getting them to line up the way we want them to with the position or with the plays that we call in the formations, which is one thing that we exploited from Montana State in the In 2019 when we played in the semifinal game. They weren't aligning. They're doing an over front, and we just run counter. They didn't put anybody there. They ran it one technique and then a wide 7, and so we just ran it to that B gap, C gap, and just crushed them for like 15 yards of carry, and they didn't make any adjustments, which kind of baffled us. So
if it ain't work, I mean, if it ain't broke, don't fix it, right?
yeah.
Okay, yeah. I figure there's a lot of tradition. I'm assuming a lot of kids when they go in there too, there's no expectation. The only expectation is that we're gonna win. We're gonna win. I'm assuming, like I said, clearly they've been good for so many years. Clearly, grinding from Monday to Saturday, and the film even, or just sitting around in meetings, I'm sure helps out a lot, which makes them so successful. Because I mean, as an outsider, you just see NDSU always winning, and you kind of wondering what are they doing different than other colleges that make them that much better than other teams? Because you'll see some teams where they'll win 2-peat, 3-peat because they have a bunch of athletes and whatnot there coming up, but like for how dominant NDSU's been, and God, Jacob, has it not been killing us?
It's not fun to watch.
Like I said in another show, goddamn happy for Karson winning, but then I'm just like, man, the rest of the team, God, come on. But, well, I think just talking about how dominant they have been, I think moving forward here, we can move in our next topic here. And Jacob and I clearly think one way. Karson, do you think NDSU should move up to FBS? Because I'm sure you listened to our show a couple last week or whatever it was, that Jacob and I believe there's all these teams that have been good in FCS and they've gone up to FBS. And Jacob and I feel that NDSU's been so dominant over and over and over again these past decade. And maybe the fact part is, like I said, we talked about the fans, and no offense to anybody. Like I said, when you're part of a dynasty and stuff like that, I mean, that's what happens, and you expect to win and stuff like that. But like, you hear people say, we want Bama, or we want Oregon, or we want these good teams, and you hear that stuff, and then for how dominant it's been, you just, as a person, I just feel like you think, man, they should go up to FBS. And I kind of do, but as your opinion being that program, and it's kind of maybe the opposite side of what way Jacob and I feel, like, do you have any points or anything of why you think NDSU should stay or go up to FBS?
So I'm okay with going up to FBS if it's in the right conference. I know we're like, academically we can't even get into the Big Ten because they're just, obviously their academics are so much better than we are. So I know everybody wants to go Power 5, and I mean, that'd be great. The closest one would be Big 12 just because our wrestling's in there already. But I don't see that being realistic to be able to jump from FCS to a Power 5. So personally, if we went up, I think it would need to be like Mountain West. I don't know, go play in the Sun Belt or whatever. I don't know if that would be where the university should go. Just because they're usually not as good of a conference, and you get a little bit more competition, better competition in the Mountain West. But there are a few more things that go into going up than just being a good football team. And I actually looked up what you have to go to be able to go up to the FBS, and we actually don't meet a couple of the requirements. And one of the big ones is we actually don't have enough sports at the university, like varsity sports, to actually go up, which we need. I have it listed here somewhere. I think we need 16 total varsity sports, and we only have 14. And of those 16, 8 need to be all women's sports, and we only have 7. So we'd actually have to add sports somewhere in our university, and I just don't see the funds for us right now to be adding all these other sports with traveling and everything. I mean, the football team is basically funding the entire athletic department except for the track team because they actually have their own donors that fund theirs. But with back to the football side of it, I think we could compete with obviously the FBS schools like we've proven in the past. I don't think like the fans are saying, "Oh, we want Bama, we want Bama." We get killed. All right.
Agreed.
Those guys are freaks. Like we cannot compete. Bama, Oklahoma, Georgia. Those guys are huge. Like their whole offensive line looks like Cordell Volson. Like we cannot be competing with those guys. So, I mean, we might be able to do it for one game and actually compete, but to play a whole conference season, we're just not built for it right now. We might be in the future if we slowly go up, but we're not going to be playing. We won't be able to go up and play a Power 5 schedule and compete for a championship, which I know is what everybody wants. So once we go up and start losing games, our fan base would drop dramatically. I almost guarantee that. And then another requirement that you have to have is hold an average of 15,000 attendance for 2 straight years. And I mean, we can go up and do, and like what we're doing now, we have over 15,000, but we wouldn't do that in FBS. And unless we start winning games. Then another one is just our location in the United States. I don't know if a conference besides the Mountain West, for the group or from the group of 5 are gonna want to put us in there because nobody's gonna want to travel to North Dakota, and spend all the money to get here. So,
well, I've won, like I brought this point up the one show we brought it up. Like you say 15,000. I'm not gonna lie, I did not know all of these. I kind of had an idea that probably there was something. I didn't know the exact numbers, but you don't think like if we had Kansas State or some of these teams up, like you don't think that brings some, not just NDSU fans, don't you think it'd even bring some other fans from just North Dakota to go watch some of these FBS schools? Like, don't you still think the dome would still be filled out, or you don't think it would be?
I mean, there's a probability of that, but just because of the conference that we would be in, I don't think we wouldn't be getting Power 5 schools up to North Dakota. So, I mean, for the first couple of years, I bet you our attendance would still probably be above 15,000. But then unless we continue to win games, I don't see that continuing.
Yeah, I guess.
I mean, it would be a slog. I mean, like you could look at a team like Appalachian State. I mean, and now, they're a perennial group of 5 powerhouse, right? I mean, they're always winning 10, 11 games. We said, when they first went up, however many years ago, it was 5-7, 6-6, barely scraping into bowls. We said, especially with NDSU's program, I don't think it would be too long before they started being able to put together, some 8-9 win seasons, playing in some more notable bowls. But he said it would be. I think it would be a grind, and I'm not sure the NDSU fan base is ready to not win 15 games a year anymore.
Right, that's just part of it. I completely understand. It'd definitely be a grind. Like we wouldn't be successful right away, like no doubt in my mind. But a lot of these guys, they're just not ready for the grind. They're not looking 5 years in the future. It's like, yeah, I'm gonna be a fan for the rest of my life. They're like, oh, I just like watching a winning football team, watching dominance. So
yeah, and I might jump ahead. I haven't seen it in a long time. I think it's very few fans that when they say like we want Bama, I just think I'm not going to name names. I maybe Jacob, Karson, maybe we have that same kid in our head who we're thinking of who's like that from maybe someone that we're co-opted with. I don't know. I'm not going to name names, but I'm thinking there's a very few fans that say that, but I just think the fact that there's fans saying there is some, I just think NDSU fans do get maybe overlooked and stuff like that. I'm not trying to hate on NDSU completely. Probably still sounds like it, but it just, you hear a few fans say that kind of stuff, and it's just like, man, do you really think you could compete? And I know you said you can't, and like those teams would just be tough. I would have loved to see that. I'm not gonna lie, if NDSU would have played Oregon a couple years ago when you were supposed to go there,
Last year.
I honestly think. I actually pretty sure I was going to go to that game, but then it got canceled or whatever because of COVID and stuff like that. I was upset to see that. That would have been really cool been really cool for you to go there and play too as well.
Yeah, that would have been fun because that team, our football team that year would have been a really good football team. And I know obviously it's the Oregon Ducks, but our offense would have been probably the best offense NDSU's ever seen. Maybe that's a little bit biased on my part, but we had a potential of, obviously Trey Lance was at quarterback, and we had a potential of 3 All-American offensive linemen, 4 All-Conference offensive linemen, Christian Watson at wide receiver being All-American, and the deepest running back group that FCS has ever seen.
And that says something because NDSU is always deep at running back.
Yeah, that's for sure. But yeah, it would have been fun, that's for sure. Just playing against the talent that they have there. I know they had 2 really good defense linemen with Thibodeau at the end. Just seeing him go up against our 2 All-American tackles. Obviously, Dylan Radins is in the NFL now. Just to be able to compare talent, So that would have been pretty interesting to see. I didn't know much about their offense, obviously, because it didn't pay attention to them as much. That's true. That's very true. I don't know if we had a D end at the time that would have been able to pass rush him.
Yeah. Well, I speaking of talent, just kind of interesting to see your All-Americans versus, the Oregon Ducks, stuff like that. I kind of curious, what's your opinion on, because you see a lot nowadays about the transfer portal, because UND has seen it, even in hockey. We've seen this past year a lot of people transfer UND for hockey. Do you think the transfer portal is a problem, especially at a school like NDSU who's so good at FCS? Do you think people are coming in being if I'm just dominant my freshman year or sophomore year at NDSU, I can go transfer to LSU, or maybe not LSU.
Jabril Cox, yeah.
Well, you can transfer an Arkansas.
He got to play a game, so.
Yeah, but
he was a grad transfer though, right?
I think technically he was, yeah.
That's different, but still.
Yeah. But I just want your opinion. Do you think some kids are coming into NDSU and thinking maybe we can play for a couple years and we can transfer to a bigger FBS school and we can have a better chance of getting drafted? Or maybe just overall, what's your opinion on the transfer portal?
I think it's definitely become a little bit more of a problem since COVID hit. I understand everybody transferring during COVID because, like we said, the Jabril Cox thing. At least he got to play a season. But in the past, I don't think people coming into NDSU have been thinking that way. I think it might be a little bit more prevalent now just because of how often people are transferring out. And I just know in the past that when people are coming in, if they're transferring out, it's because they're not getting playing time and they think they should. Because, would you rather come in and compete for a national championship or go play at a 6-6 FBS football team, So, we do have that on our side. And when people do transfer, I think it's got to be hard on them because just to go in and learn another system and try to fit in somewhere else. And then what if you're not successful there? Because then you just transfer again. What if you just keep bouncing around and all of a sudden your talent is wasted? Because you could be a NFL talent, but you've only played 3 games out of the last 3 years because you've transferred everywhere. So
yeah, I would say that UND has the opposite problem where we have guys who are really good and really successful, and they look at the team and go, "This team's not as good as I'd like it to be." We got Otis Weah, he's transferring out. Last year in basketball, UND had the Summit League Rookie of the Year. He transferred. Our best player transferred because they're like, "Hey, I'm a stud, and this team is bad, so I'm out." So I'm just seeing the transfer portal, and I'm seeing schools like UND and NDSU who are smaller in basketball who aren't going to be able to keep teams together for long because these guys are going to come in, transfer out. And before last year when we lost Babracha and all those guys, a couple years before we lost our best player to Gonzaga, and what do you do? These guys come in. And they're coming to UND because no one else will recruit them. No one is going to North Dakota to play basketball because they want to be in North Dakota to play basketball. And then they show up, they play well, and they go, I could start here, score 15 a game, and then win 40% of our games, or I could, transfer to a ranked team, be the 7th man, but hey, at least I'm playing a good basketball team.
Right. Yeah, a lot of people look at it like JUCO, they didn't get recruited by any top tier Division I teams. So they just go, all right, I'm going to go to this only other school that gave me an offer, and I'm going to prove to everybody else that I can play college basketball, and then they get the opportunity. And it's just a little more of a gamble when you aren't at a JUCO because you're not like graduating. You're just like in the middle of your career and leaving a school. But I mean, I could see pros and cons of both sides, which is, I mean, good for the player if they transfer somewhere and are successful. But I mean, there's always that possibility that they transfer out and turn out to be a bust at that school because they don't fit in or something.
Yeah, I mean, said you got guys like Baker Mayfield, like Joe Burrow, Justin Fields, but then there's 300 other guys who try to do it and then never started another football game or basketball game or whatever. So that's a good point.
Well, like I said, on 2J, your Otis Wade thing, I don't know for sure clearly, and I was talking to Dad this weekend, and he kind of brought up a point about whatever. I think there's more to that Otis thing than you think. I don't think that's him willingly saying he's transferring. I think because of his attitude and the way he's acted at his time at UND and his academics, I think from what Dad and because not gonna try name names, but like Belquist and stuff like that. His son plays there. There's some talk that I think the coaches almost kind of asked him to transfer because of his way he's acted at UND while he's been there.
That's too bad because he's a stud.
He is a stud, and I've had classes with him, and
we can't have studs transferring out of our program right now.
And we can't. And I've had class with him, and I'm not trying to no one's gonna listen to this. We're not gonna be on national news or anything like that. But that guy, I tell you what, is interesting man, especially in class. You can just kind of tell his character just even sitting in class with that guy. And I'm not surprised to see that if that's actually true, that if the coaches said we kind of want you to transfer out. I understand he's talented, but I would not be surprised if that actually is true.
I actually have a friend that used to be a wide receiver at UND. I think he's my age, and he had quit halfway through his career, but he knew Otis. And he said he wasn't a very intelligent guy. Great football player, not very intelligent.
Hey, there's lots of those. Look at Terry Bradshaw. That guy's dumber than a box of rocks. One of the best quarterbacks ever.
But, well, I think just one last thing, at least on the NDSU topic. I mean, and we haven't been there clearly, Jacob and I haven't, but we've just seen a lot of pictures and stuff. It seems like the dome has been empty lately. It's not as full as it's been in the past. Why do you think that is? Or is it because NDSU fans just expect to go to Frisco so they're not showing up? I mean, the semifinal game last week, it seemed like it was more filled, but it just hasn't seemed like some of the games that it's been as full as it usually always is, as it has been in the past.
Yeah, you guys said it perfectly last week. It's complacency, and obviously nobody wants to be there. I mean, yeah, the dome definitely was pretty loud and pretty full for the semifinal game, just because everybody knew it was gonna be a close game because it was JMU. It was a better team, but anytime we play a bad football team, and everybody knows it's a bad football team, they just rather go tailgating, get drunk, and keep getting drunk at their house. And it's kind of a shame, but there is one way to fix it though, and just start selling alcohol at the Fargo Dome.
Oh, I mean, we do at the Lair Center.
So the few things UND does right. There's not a major sporting event at UND where you can't buy liquor at the games. So
I've always wanted that for Fargo. I'm just man, if those fans get drunk there too at those games, it's got to be absolute bonkers there. And I'm assuming, like you said, I'm assuming there'd be probably more fans going in because everyone's I can drink in there now rather than.
Yeah, because I've been a part of tailgating and got drunk at tailgating and then went to the football game too, and it's kind of miserable if it's a blowout. I mean,
bit of a bummer. You lose your buzz.
You start getting tired by halftime. You want to take a nap in the fourth quarter if it's a blowout. And I only stay there just for moral support because I know what it's like to watch the stands get empty after the first half. But yeah, I don't know why they don't. I think it's something with the fire code in the dome, which is stupid because I've been to the Lair Center and it can't be any worse than there. For people walking in the hallways and stuff and being packed.
Yeah, you're not wrong.
I mean, and I don't know what the ownership is like for the Fargo Dome because I know like the city of Grand Forks owns the Allaire Center, and then with the Betty and the Ralph, that's owned by the Engelstead Foundation. So like UND has no authority over what goes on there because they essentially rent the venue.
Yeah, it's the same way. Fargo owns the Fargo Dome. and then NDSU rents it for like, I think it's like $1 a year or something ridiculous. But I don't think alcohol is any like problem with NDSU because they serve it at the basketball games,
That's
which is weird, and that's completely NDSU owned. I mean, you have to sit in like the upper deck along the railing and stuff, but I mean, they still serve it.
Yeah, that's definitely kind of weird to hear that. Like I said, I mean, different people own it, but it's weird that they at the basketball games, but then at the football, especially football, I feel like people want to get drunk at a football game more than sitting at a basketball game.
I've never been at a basketball game and thought, gee, I could use a beer right now.
Unless it's girls basketball.
Well, don't trust me. That's why I come every day after a basketball game or practice and come drink here. But, well, I think that was some good insight. Like I said, rather than just Jacob and I being completely biased, probably lost half our fans, which might be 5 people, because we said we kind of shit on NDSU a couple weeks ago. But it's just nice to bring you in, Karson. I'm glad you could come in here and give us your inside opinion about it. Maybe more people will like us now because it's not just Jacob and I talking about it. But yeah, I think it was nice to bring you in here. Even just some of the things you said, I think kind of opened even my mind about it. Like some of the things about FBS of going up or down, and I just think an inside look at why they've been successful for so long. It was nice to have you on for all of that. But I think moving forward here, Jacob, we got some NFL games to talk about. We might have to move a little quicker along these, but that's all right. I think we had quite a week this week in NFL. I think. I mean, we talked about last week. There was really not that many exciting games, but holy crap, did some crap happen this week. And the first one, my goodness, the Lions. The Lions beat we talked last week about the best teams like in the NFC, talked about the Cardinals, and the Cardinals lose to the Lions. Like one of the best teams in the league lose to the Lions. Brother, give me a couple comments or whatever you think about that.
I'm going to say, Jared Goff said, hey, I was your daddy when I was at the Rams, and I'm still your daddy now. That's what that game was about, in my opinion.
It's just, I was watching that game, actually. I didn't want to. Our stepdad Blake had it on, and I can't remember what game I was trying to watch. Probably some game I bet on and got screwed over on, honestly. But I don't know. It's just like Jacob, your predictions coming right. They're gonna win 3 of their last 5 games, whatever the hell you said. And
they were way better than their record. They were 0-10-1. They played like 8 one touchdown games, and they just haven't been able to close them out. They just got to blow them out. That's the key.
Yeah, I agree with you. Like I said, they are better than the record, and they have the last 2 games here: Falcons, Seahawks, and Packers. I believe if they're going to win one of those, it'd probably be one of the first 2. But who knows? The Packers, they might secure the 1 seed and not even start Aaron Rodgers at the end there. Who knows? But whatever. Looking forward to. I think moving to the next game, I'm going to ask Karson about this one. Tampa Bay shuts out the Saints. Who I was watching that game, actually. I turned it off after the 4th quarter. Like, this is boring. I'm one of those people that's like, man, I want to see like a 40-35 game. And I was watching, it was like 6-0. I'm like, this is boring as crap. Like, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers get shut out by the Saints. So 0-2 against the season against the Saints. What do you think about that, Karson?
I personally didn't watch the game because I thought it was going to be a blowout. That Tampa Bay was going to beat the crap out of the Saints.
You too.
But when I saw that it was Sunday night, I was like, wow, that's not what I expected. But yeah, the Saints are definitely Tampa Bay's kryptonite. And I don't know. The Tampa Bay is pretty banged up right now. They could go out and lose 2 more of their. No, never mind. They have 3 really pretty decent, easy games, next 3 games. But yeah, you would have thought that would have been easy one too, but that should be their only loss.
Yeah, I'll just ask you a quick question too, right off of that. Jacob and I talked about last week about the favorites to win the NFC. We all said, Jacob, Alex, and I all said Tampa Bay. After this loss, do you possibly think could still the favorite, or do you think Green Bay is going to win out and win the NFC now? Because clearly, what Jacob, I thought they were going to go 4-0 the last 4 games, and they lost their first one after I said that. Like, do you think they're probably still the favorites to? I'm not saying go win the NFC and go to the Super Bowl, but just at the end of the season here, coming down to the end of the race here.
I definitely would have thought that they were the favorites and probably what should have won out, but right now it's looking like the Packers. I don't know exactly who has the tiebreaker, but I think the Packers win for sure 2 of their last 3 games. I don't know if they lose to the Browns or the Vikings, but I mean they shouldn't lose to the Lions. But yeah, I think
The Vikings can lose or beat
Packers,
anyone, so we'll see how that game goes.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know. They play to their competition, and it's kind of scary because they looked like crap against the Bears. But yeah, I think the Packers are probably the favorite to get the 1 seed right now. Even if the Bucks do win out, I think they'll still be tied with Green Bay, and so it's whoever has that tiebreaker.
And I don't know how the 3-way tiebreaker. I know in the 3-way when it was the Cardinals, Packers, and Bucks, the Packers won the tiebreaker. I don't know when it's just the Bucks and the Packers. If they're just tied, if who wins that tiebreaker, I just assume the Packers just because they won the 3-way, but who knows? I'm kind of thinking the same way, but because the Green Bay Packers, if they win out, they'll be the 1 seed. But because the Cardinals and the Bucks won, so they're outright right now. So as long as they win, and Browns, who knows with them?
Right.
It's week to week. At the beginning of the season, everyone's just like, oh, they're maybe not Super Bowl contenders, but AFC contenders to go to the AFC and compete for the Super Bowl. And then they've had I'd say, disappointing season. And Green Bay Packers, Vikings, I mean, you never know with that game. It's always a toss-up who you. And then, like I said, the Lions, man, they're not as bad as you think, but, man, they've been competing with everybody. It seems like. I mean, they've lost some games big, but, like, they play up to their competition, it seems like. But moving forward, this would be a question for both of you because this might be controversial. Baltimore goes for 2 and the win against Green Bay. They could have kicked it, went into overtime. This is the second time in 3 weeks that they did this. They did this against the Steelers 2 weeks ago. They went for 2. And they did not get it, and they lost the game. I don't know what you guys' opinion is. I think John Harbaugh, we've seen him do this consistently. I think you love to see it as a coach for him to consistently go for 2 because that's his style. I'll go to Karson first. What do you think? Do you think that was a good idea? I mean, do you think they should go just kick the extra point and hope for overtime? Or, I mean, like I said, this is the second time they've done it in 3 weeks and it has failed. I mean, what's your opinion on them doing that?
Yeah, I don't know about that decision. I don't know if they just didn't believe themselves in the going into overtime against the Packers. They thought it's like, wow, we competed this well against them without Lamar Jackson. Maybe we should just try to win the game here and get it over with. But yeah, I guess I would have just kicked the field goal and went into overtime. But I mean, if you get it, you're a hero. But you didn't get it, so.
Yeah, that's one of those situations where if you pick it up, everyone says, "Oh, look what an awesome coach you are. He made the right decision." And then if you don't get it, you're going to get raked through the coals. So when you look at something like this, the result can't influence what you say was right or wrong, right? Like there is an not objectively, but I mean there is a right or wrong regardless of result. And regardless of result, John Harbaugh made the correct decision in going for 2. And here's why. If you can put that game down to 1 play and you're Baltimore and you're starting quarterback, I think you put the game on 1 play. You try to end it there. I really don't want to play Aaron Rodgers in overtime. I think if you have the chance to put the game away there on that play, I think you do so. I love the aggressive play calling, but I mean, I always have. If I coached, I'd coach like I was playing Madden. I don't like punting, and I wouldn't onside kick ever because onside kicks don't work. But yeah, no punting. I don't like punting at all. I love going for 2 late in the games like this. You know, I said in that Alabama-Auburn game, Auburn should win for 2 after that first overtime. If you can try to put that game away, you should against Alabama. Same thing here against the Packers. You should try to end that thing right there. Put the game on 1 play, let it rip.
Yeah, no, I agree with you. Jay, I was sitting there watching with Blake, and he had it on his phone or whatnot, which is our stepdad, and they went for 2, and he's like, "What are you thinking? What are you thinking?" I'm just like, it makes sense. You don't have Lamar Jackson, your star quarterback, who's definitely, probably depending on who you ask, is the upcoming quarterback. I think he probably has a couple more years of being top notch, but like, he's out. You're playing against Aaron Rodgers, and like the chance that the Packers win the coin toss, and it's a 50-50. Packers win the coin toss, they get the ball in overtime. Like, in my head, think that game's over. It's over. So I think as a backup quarterback against the Packers, why wouldn't you just go for it and just try to end it? And I think the consistency behind John Harbaugh, I think you love to see that. Yeah, he hasn't converted on the past 2, especially in the 3 weeks against the Steelers they lost to. But like, I think that's good to see as a coach. I mean, maybe you think I'm wrong, but like to see that him consistently being like, we're gonna go for this, we're gonna try to go for the win.
It also makes the game as a fan way more exciting. Who wants to watch who wants to watch them kick a 30-yard extra point when you can watch them go for 2 for the win, you know?
And with a field goal bumping back, I mean, you've seen, granted, the Ravens have the best kicker in football, but I mean, it's hard to say that, but like, I don't know. And maybe if you have Lamar Jackson, granted against the Steelers, they did have Lamar Jackson still 1 for 2. Maybe you say we'll take our chances over in overtime, but I just think as a coach, seeing that consistency is awesome to see, rather than like week to week you might do something different. Like, he's consistent, like, we're gonna go for 2, we're gonna go for them, we're gonna try to end this right now.
True, but at the same time, like, I would have been a bigger fan of just kicking it against the Steelers, because like, I think if you think you're better than the other team, you want to make the game last as long as possible, because the law of averages out in your favor, right? But so I mean, I'm not sure 100% agree with that one. Like, I think but like I said, it's just nice to see the consistency. Like I said, I mean, like, I don't, like, if he would have kicked the extra point against the Packers this week, like, I wouldn't have complained. Like, I'm not gonna harp on you for not going for 2 there. I will harp on you for punting it on 4th and 2 when you're inside your opponent's 50.
Yeah, no, I will agree with you on that. Like, when against the Steelers, I think if you have that much faith in Lamar Jackson, and we've seen John Harbaugh has so much faith in Lamar Jackson, why wouldn't you? And you have Lamar Jackson, who you have a hell of faith in, and then you have the best kicker in the league. Why wouldn't you want to go in overtime in that situation, especially against the Steelers, because they're clearly not the Packers, and especially when you have a backup quarterback in there. So like, in my opinion, it's like, why wouldn't you? Against the Steelers, why wouldn't you just kick the field goal and trust your quarterback and trust your kicker? Because I think he's got the best kicker and one of the best quarterbacks in the league, which we might have different opinions on that and stuff like that. I'm not saying he's the best, but he's up there, upcoming. He's a different style than every team has, but yeah, I don't know.
I guess I just wouldn't want to give Aaron Rodgers another chance, like towards the end of the 4th quarter in overtime. I mean, that guy's pretty dangerous with the ball in his hands. So I completely understand like the decision to go for it, because you don't want to. Aaron Rodgers and the Packers are a better football team than the Ravens, especially without Lamar Jackson. So just to try to win the game there, it makes sense.
Yeah, and maybe you guys didn't see this or whatnot. I just kind of want to throw out there. I mean, the Chargers lost to the Chiefs by 6 in overtime this week. The Chargers went for it 3 times on 4th down when they could have kicked a field goal. And say he makes all the field goals, that's 9 extra points. And the coach after the game came out and said, I backed it up. He's like, that's the kind of team we are. We're going to go for it. We're going to try to score points. I like it. It doesn't have to be long, but or anything like that. But I just kind of want a quick opinion. Clearly, Jacob, you just said what you think. But like, I mean, clearly you kick one of those field goals. In reality, you think you win that game. But who knows what would have happened if they would kick the field goal or whatnot. But like, they went for it 3 times, didn't convert on any 3 of the 4th downs, and lost the game in overtime.
Yeah, I think I saw the first quarter when they did that. They went for it on 4th down. It was like 4th and 4 from like the opponent's like 35 or something. I didn't understand that one. I guess. I understand the coach is being an aggressive coach. Yeah, I was like, really take the points. Like, you'd be up. I think they would have been up 10-0 at one point or something. Like, you got to take points against the Chiefs when you're trying to win your conference, win your division.
Yeah. You also got to think of the game in terms of possessions. I mean, regardless of a touchdown or a field goal, it's still a 2-possession football game.
Right.
Well, like you said, in the fourth quarter, you might be like, okay, let's go for it. But like that early in the game, like why are you going? And you can look back and everyone's like, oh, that's 9 free points. You might miss one of those field goals or 2 of them, but like I think, and there's a stat, and I heard this on another ESPN show, but like teams that go for it 3 times on fourth down and go 0 for 3 are 0 and 49 in like the whole NFL. Like so teams that go for it on fourth down and that are 0 for 3 on fourth downs haven't won one game.
I'd like to see the same stat, but 3 for 3 or 4 for 4.
And I'm definitely turning to ESPN with some stupid ass stat that they throw out there, but like that's like
we got to have a new section that's called pointless stat of the day or something like that, because the dumb stats I see on ESPN are never ending.
Yeah, no, but like it's just I think they should have kicked one of them. I mean, who knows if they make it or not, but like I just can't believe they went for it that much. But
I definitely don't have a major problem. I like aggressive play calling. Less so with field goals, because field goals result in points. My problem with punting is the odds of you scoring points when you punt are 0. And the odds. I'm not saying go for it on 4th and 10 from your 20-yard line, but like it just bothers me when you got 4th and 2 from the 45 from the opponent's 45 and you're gonna punt. Like, come on, like you're trying to tell me they can get 2 yards. 60%
or
of
you
the time.
Or you just have no faith in your defense. I mean, I don't understand that either. Whether it's like 3 yards outside of your kicker's field goal range and you decide to punt it. I don't even think punters like punting it at that point.
I mean, it's hard. When at full leg you can punt the ball 60 yards, it's got to be tough to drop one in from 40 yards out.
Yeah. No. I understand that too. That's why a lot of teams you see when they're at the 45 or something, they try to get offsides on the other team because they're fine taking the 5-yard penalty, so they have that many more yards to punt the ball. I mean, teams are a lot comfortable taking that delay of game or whatnot and giving their punter 5 more yards than.
Mm-hmm. And speaking of going for it in situations, I remember after that UND NDSU game, Bubba got major flack for going for it on that 4th and 1 on the 25. And I said, I like it. I stand by it. I love the play call even after the fact. I get that it resulted in points, but I said, you're trying to win that game. I'm sick of watching. I don't want to watch him punt that.
Jacob, why?
I disagree.
You got to think you can get a yard.
Jacob, you're the only one I've ever heard say.
I liked it.
And it was a defensive game, and UND was winning, and they were stopping them the whole game. Like I understand, like at the 50-yard line, or maybe at the 45 on your own 45.
I like it.
You maybe go for that, but like I understand
you
win, but like
you're basically guaranteed to give up points if you don't get that, which is the point. I just don't get that call, I guess. The funny part about that is that we actually started. So me and one of my buddies were sitting up in the parent section. We actually started a fire Bubba chant after that play.
I like Jacob. Literally the only one I've ever heard be like, "That was a smart idea."
Yeah.
Like
I got into a lot of arguments with a lot of people. Like at work the next day, everyone's like, "I can't believe Bubba do that," and I was like, "I disagree. I liked it. I would have done the same. You can fire me. You can fire Bubba, but."
Consistency. That's what we just talked about. If he does that every 4th down on the back,
and
there,
he did that day. That day they went on a 4th and short another time and also didn't get it because we're apparently incapable of getting a one yard.
But I'm just saying that we could talk about that topic for freaking hours because I swear to God, like I thought that was the worst decision he's made in his career. Like.
What's funny is if they pick that up and score a touchdown, we'd look back on it and say,
I would still look back on it. I still think that's stupid.
Which is what I said earlier, like the result can't factor into whether or not something was the right decision because you can't let hindsight, cloud your judgment.
Well, no, I'm not saying that, Jacob. But I'm just saying, like, in a big game like that, I think it'd be different if NDSU was rolling over us and like we had to make a move. Like, yeah, you make that, but like the fact that we were in control, it was a defensive game that game. Like, why wouldn't you just punt the ball? But anyways, we don't have to get into more. I just have one question left for Karson here. Probably maybe not expecting this question. I don't know. But before we end the show here, just one more NDSU question. I mean, we all talk about these Trey Lance and Carson Wentz going to NDSU, and I just think maybe the people that do listen, because clearly you were the center for Trey Lance. What's that guy like? Like him going to NFL, like, and Jacob and I kind of talked about him being in the NFL, and we might maybe not just because he went to the 49ers we see success. I don't know if you still talk to him much or not like that, but like, what kind of person is he? Like, is he gonna go to NFL? Is he gonna grind? Like, see success for him, or just in general, just Trey Lance? You go on any tangent you want with it.
He's a great kid. Really smart. Loves the game of football. So I think just with his passion and I mean talent, obviously you have to have going to the NFL, but he's not going to go in the NFL and make stupid decisions. And so he's going to go there and work hard and learn the playbook and do everything right. And like you said, he landed in the perfect spot with the 49ers. Like it couldn't be any better. Have a good offense, good defense, great coaching. Run the right style of offense where they run with a fullback and multiple tight ends, which is exactly what NDSU does. Get to sit behind Garoppolo for a couple of years, learn from him. I mean, I could see him battling for the starting job next year if they don't go deep into the playoffs or if he gets hurt again.
Well, imagine that.
No, no, I think he will have success. I don't know if he'll be like all pro kind of talent, but I could see him being kind of like a Carson Wentz is now, being a starting quarterback in the NFL, maybe being a franchise quarterback if he wins games, but I don't see him breaking records, being an all pro, all star kind of talent. I mean, he did. The only knock on him coming out of college, obviously, you guys mentioned it last episode, is that he only played one season. Yeah, he didn't throw an interception, but he also didn't look fantastic in our Central Arkansas game. Personally, even just playing with him, I think the pressure got to him a little bit. And if he can get away from that in the pros, I think he'd have a good career and have some success.
Jacob, what do you think about those comments?
I like it. I mean, I mean, I haven't hidden that I thought there was better quarterbacks available at that spot, but we can argue about that another time.
Yeah, no, I mean, someone like you, like in Trey Lance got drafted early, and it's kind of cool to know someone who knows the quarterback. Like I said, I mean, you can look all the way back to Randy Moss when he got drafted. He got overlooked because of his past and all the stuff he went through. You're
trying to tell me that Marshall isn't wide receiver U?
Well,
he went somewhere before that, didn't he?
He was at like some weird NIAA or some like JUCO or some D2 or something, and then he went to Marshall for I don't know how long, and then he definitely had a ride in college.
Well, I know why I went to Marshall, right? Like he got like convicted with some like things,
Yeah.
And I mean he was supposed to go to a good college, and then all that kind of, I don't know the whole story of or where he was supposed to go. Oh, right here, I just read it. I just looked up. Moss, his dream was play for Notre Dame, considering Ohio State, and because Lou Holtz was playing at Notre Dame, as coaching Notre Dame and stuff like that, and all these places, and then Moss pleaded guilty to 2 counts of misdemeanor battery. So
also he beat someone up.
Yeah, he started out at Florida State and got dismissed like right away, I think.
Yeah, signed his letter to intent to at Notre Dame, and then he transferred to Florida State, and then went to Marshall. But it's just cool to hear. Like I said, someone who actually knows someone that's that close to the situation. Like I said, I'm sure he's a great kid and all that stuff. Honestly, I said the same thing the other show too. Like I think he will start, and I think he will have success. I don't think he's gonna be like all pro or anything like that. If he does, whatever. Like Jacob and I will come on here and complain that another. It's cool to see that there's 2 NDSU quarterbacks, and I guess if you was Easton Stick, is he still with the Chargers?
I believe so. I haven't heard anything different, I guess. I think he's still like a third string on the 52-man roster, but doesn't dress.
Yeah, I was going to say, I'm pretty sure he's over there. But like it's just cool that you have two NDSU. I hate to admit it is cool that two NDSU quarterbacks are out there. Carson Wentz for the Colts, and you think at some point Trey Lance is going to get his time too. But one class, where's the older Volson? Because I know you're close friends with kind of them. Is he still like on a practice squad team, or is he?
No, he's done. He once he got done with the Giants or whatever, I think he just pretty much hung it up.
Okay, is he back in North Dakota then, or?
Yep, he's back in good old Drake Animus.
Where'd they grow up? What's the town? Belfour?
Yeah, Belfour. Well, yeah, I guess they live between Belfour and Drake, but yeah, technically Belfour.
Mm-hmm. But that's awesome. You love to see it. But all right, well, like I said, that's our show. I mean, a lot of it was NDSU. Thank you, Karson, for coming in here and being our second guest on our show and giving us your opinion on NDSU. Love to have you, and I'm sure we'll have you back at some other point too as well.
Yeah, thank you guys.
I think Jacob, looking forward to. We probably aren't going to have a show this Thursday or Friday because it's Christmas. Am I correct?
Yeah, I don't think we really plan on it. So
yeah,
too bad for you guys. I know we're one of the most popular podcasts out there.
Yeah, so I think we'll be back next Monday probably. I would say
Probably,
Jacob.
Yeah,
Monday, Tuesday.
I would say that's a good guess, and maybe if I'm lucky, there might actually be some good college basketball games I can talk about.
No, as long as Corona doesn't cancel crap again. But as like I said, thank you guys for listening. Won't be here this Thursday or Friday, but we'll be back next Monday for you guys to listen to us for the 10 of you.
Big audience.
Yeah.
I guess we can end her there, huh?
Yep.
All right. Thanks, everyone. Loin Brothers out.